everyone. My name is Kanani Makikau, and I am the Director of External Relations here at Cal Poly, which includes parent and family programs and commencement. The Lunch and Learn webinar series, sponsored by the Parent Advisory Council and hosted by Parent and Family Programs, is a resource for Cal Poly parents and supporters featuring campus and community experts. In fact, speaking of the Parent Advisory Council, we have the Vice Chair of the Parent Advisory Council here with us today. Marta, do you want to introduce yourself?
I would love to introduce myself, Kanani. Hello, everybody. I am Marta Harmon. I am the vice chair going on I guess I'm in my second year as a parent and a part of the PAC, as part of the Parent Advisory Council. And I am thrilled to be a part of these 24 fabulous parents and supporters who are here to really share our input and engage with university leadership. I'm a mom of a third-year Mustang, and again, I'm proud to help to foster this engagement and communication and support between the university and the parents. So welcome to this fabulous second edition of our Lunch and Learns.
Awesome. Thanks, Marta. I also want to mention that you can view this recording and all previous webinar sessions if you visit the Stay Informed tab at parent.calpoly.edu, and that information will be in the chat as we end the session today. I'm excited to be with you today for this special session with the Career Services Associate Director of Career Education and Equity, Heather Domonoske. Career Services empowers students to achieve a lifetime of meaningful career successes by engaging with Cal Poly's vibrant network. You can learn about the various programs, events, and career tools that are provided to Cal Poly students. We will provide a deeper dive into the freshman focus team and how we support students in their first year here at Cal Poly. Heather, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. As Kanani shared, my name is Heather Domonoske. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm our Associate Director of Career Education and Equity. I've been at Cal Poly for 7 years now. I started in our Center for Leadership, opened our Transfer Center. I've been in Career Services for the last year. So have really enjoyed getting to support students in a variety of ways. And today I'm going to be sharing more specifically about Career Services. Please feel free if you have questions to put them in the chat. We'll have time at the end. And more importantly, then it always gives me feedback. If there's things that you're like, I want to learn more about that, I'm happy to get those questions answered. So with that, I'm going to share my screen to share about what we do here at Career Services. I'll let that get set up. So today I'm going to talk about our mission and values, then our services and resources with a spotlight on our freshman focus team, which supports our first year students. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the graduate status report, because this is a great way for you all to learn about what happens once they have that Cal Poly degree. And then talk about some of our diversity, equity, inclusion efforts so that you can plug your students into some of our intentional work in being serving the whole student in how we approach our career education. So who are we? As Kanani shared in the opening, our mission is to empower Cal Poly students to achieve a lifetime of meaningful career success, engaging with Cal Poly's vibrant network. And we really, when we say career success, we don't just mean getting a job. That might mean grad school. That might mean a fellowship. That might mean a summer internship. And so we see career as a really broad concept. And this is a photo from about 1.5 years ago. I think I was the one that took this photo from our career fair, which is an all hands on deck. We have career fair next week. And this is many of our amazing folks. We have 18 folks that work in career services, and we are actually located in the same building that Kanani and Stanley work in. So if anyone's been to campus, building 124 down near the football stadium. So what is at the heart of what we do is our values. We have 4 values: connections, personal and professional growth, innovation, and then diversity, equity, and inclusion. And you'll see these tied into all of the different programs and services that I'm going to talk about today. So how do we choose what we do? We base our work on the career education side of the team in our career and life success model. This model is inspired by the NACE. So we love our acronyms, National Association of Career Education. That is our national body that is a combination of both employers and higher education professionals that say, what do we need to help folks be career ready? So we've taken that research, we've combined it with our own understanding of student development as student affairs professionals, and we have come up with this model. So in the middle, we see relationship management, growth mindset, career navigation, and a professional foundation. All of those are being upheld by those two circles of diversity and inclusion and emotional intelligence. Students don't always know this is the model we're using. We like to think of it as the behind the scenes that informs that all the workshops that we're presenting throughout the year and our events tie back to this model, hoping that when they graduate, they feel like they have the skills needed to navigate those next steps. If you would like to learn more about this model, it is on our website, as are all the other resources I'm going to be sharing about. So who are our career counselors? We have 8 career counselors here at Cal Poly, all of whom have master's degrees in some type of background in learning development theory, career education, leadership, and or higher education. So our career counseling team is composed of 2 sub-teams. We have our freshman focus team, or what we like to call FFT. This is an intentional effort. It started in 2014 out of actually students voting to say, we want some of our student success fee money to specifically help us in our first year, because it can be intimidating. What is a resume? How do I get an internship? And we were finding that students were coming their senior year and then feeling behind. And they said, we want help in our first year. So freshman focus team celebrated its 10th birthday last year, and the focus really is on major exploration. Yes, students come declared, but just because they know they like biology, what does that actually look like? There's a lot of things you can do with a business degree. How do we help you explore some of that so you can be more intentional in your internship search, or maybe what electives you decide to take to fill your GE areas? Early career preparation, that can range from summer jobs, on-campus jobs, internships, research opportunities. That's what their focus is. We do a lot of fun events. I'll be highlighting some of those and trying to, our kind of mantra is make career less scary. Then we have our college specialist team. So for second years and above and new transfers, each college has a specific counselor that has specialized in that area. So Jordan works with our Bailey College of Science and Mathematics. What that allows is that she's developed through her time here really strong partnerships with faculty. She goes into those classes often for their senior year and talks about what does the job search look like for a college in science and math major. What do you need to think about when negotiating an offer? So each of our colleges has a college specialist team, and that's who they meet with. So if you're in your first year, you're going to meet with FFT. If you're in your second year above, you're going to meet with your CST. Students don't have to know all of that in our awesome online platform where they sign up called Mustang Jobs. That's accessible through their portal. They are automatically assigned their counselor. So it just tells them you're going to meet with Jade because you're in the College of Architecture and you're a third year. So what do? We have 8 awesome staff and myself supporting career education. And again, we see this as a wraparound, multi-pronged approach. So we have career counseling. That's that one-on-one and group opportunities. Most career appointments are 30 minutes, and students can have them on a range of topics. Then we offer a ton of programs. We know that programs can be a great way to engage and get information. It also can be less intimidating than coming for that one-on-one appointment. We do workshops, we do panels, we do resume review clinics, a wide variety. We average about 20 programs and workshops a quarter at all different times with a combination of in-person and virtual. Then we have something called Cal Poly Career Connections. This is our alumni student networking tool that I'm going to get into later. We also have curriculum modules. So faculty embed curriculum that we've created into their classes so that students, maybe they have an internship requirement in psychology, they have an internship model created by our College of Liberal Arts advisor embedded in the classroom. So hopefully that begins to see we're doing a variety of ways to engage. And then our website has a ton of on-demand resources. I'm going to be sharing some of those because they are 24/7 accessible, day of and time, and it can be a great way to help someone who's nervous about maybe coming to a counseling appointment is to start with our online resources. So we talked about events. These are 2 upcoming events that we have for our freshman focus team. Right now, actually, this is going on, the one on the right, resume drop-in clinic. So in the Sierra Madre Community Center, they can bring their physical or digital resume to get feedback from a career services staff member. There's food, and it is, again, where the students live. So freshman focus team goes to the students as much as we can, and we try to make it less scary, I guess is what we like to say, accessible. The other beauty of being there is we end up just having informal conversations with students who walk by. Networking, fun, career fact, over 75% of jobs are achieved by some level of networking these days. You all maybe hire yourselves and know that there's a ton of people applying to jobs. How do you get your in? Your network is key. And one of the tools you have is LinkedIn. We have heard from students, I've heard of LinkedIn. What is LinkedIn? So freshman focus team this year started every quarter offering LinkedIn for beginners. In our marketing, we even highlight why you would come to that. We're really trying to remove the barriers to access, and it never hurts to have some pizza there for students. And this event is happening in February. Building 52 is right up in the hub of campus. And so shameless plug, if you have a student, send them here. None of our FFT events are exclusive to freshmen. They're just intentionally targeting freshmen. So that's the center of who we're focusing on, but it is not uncommon to have even a senior who's like, I still don't have a LinkedIn, come to this workshop, really trying to get those questions answered. So now I'm going to show you a great resource. And I'm going to stop sharing for a moment because we just created this video about career connections. And before I show it, I'll just say that I've already mentioned networking. We know that that can be really intimidating. It can be overwhelming for our first generation students. There's a lot of imposter syndrome of feeling like maybe they don't have that network built in from their family, given the jobs that their parents hold. And Cal Poly made an effort in 2017 to begin to explore options to say, we have thousands of alumni. Maybe some of you on this call are alumni who are out in the world, who are doing things. And what better way to tap into our alumni network? Because alumni were once Cal Poly students. Maybe you felt as a parent or supporter, you're like, I'm telling you this advice, but because I'm your parent, you might not be listening to me as much. Well, when it comes from an alumni, they can relate in. They're not the parent, they're not the faculty. And so we've actually seen a big benefit for the kind of comfortability that can come with connecting with an alumni. Now, Cal Poly is not in a big city. Most of our alumni don't live here. And the beauty of Career Connections is it's an online platform that students can connect with other alumni, no matter where they live. And it has some increased safety measures in it compared to LinkedIn, such as you don't have to give out your phone number or Zoom or email. You can Zoom and text right through that platform. So it increases the privacy concerns, and it's unlimited. LinkedIn always wants you to pay for that new feature. As many, if you want to send more than 2 messages with 200 characters, you have to pay. Career Connections, unlimited amount of messaging, unlimited amount of templates. So I'm gonna share this video to give you a little bit of what this would look like and why you might want to encourage your students to engage with Career Connections.
Welcome to Cal Poly Career Connections, your gateway to a world of opportunities. Whether you're a student looking to kickstart your career or an alum eager to give back, Career Connections is here to connect you with the Cal Poly network. Career Connections is Cal Poly's exclusive online networking platform. It's free and easy to sign up. You will connect with alumni who can share about their career journey and provide career guidance on topics such as your internship, job search, grad school, resume support, and even making a career change.
Meeting with my alumni helps me get more insight on where I want to go with my major and what options there are for me. She also stressed the importance of networking in my field. She overall just gave me better insight on what I need to be doing to prepare for the real world.
Career Connections makes it really easy for students to make connections. It'll even recommend alumni for you to reach out to, and they provide sample templates to help you get started with your outreach. And unlike some other platforms like LinkedIn, there's no fee to use the service, and you can send as many messages as you'd like.
One really unique thing about Career Connections is that it's all Cal Poly alumni. We all walked on the same campus, probably went to High Street Deli multiple times a week like I did. And so we all have that common ground before even really knowing it. I think that's one thing that really bonds people together and just have that shared experience, which is really great. And so using that as a starting ground and just sharing from Mustang to Mustang.
Students can also connect with alumni based on shared interests, identities, and lived experiences, or their geographic location.
When my alumni mentioned that she felt very uncertain as an undergrad student, I felt very seen and I didn't feel as uncertain about myself. This meeting helped me feel more confident. She definitely validated me and the steps that I've taken this far, and she gave me more guidance on what steps I should take next in order to further my career.
In that introductory call, we worked out how do we make your resume a little bit more competitive. Instead of focusing on what your job duties were, what impact did you make? So let's highlight those and talk about them so anyone can understand. I'm not someone who has to have this very niche industry experience.
With most of our alumni living outside of San Luis Obispo County, the platform is a great way for students to connect with alumni around the world.
It's also a great spot for our alumni to connect with other alumni if you're changing careers or moving to a new area.
Career Connections makes networking less intimidating, and we encourage all Cal Poly students and alumni to utilize it.
Join thousands of Cal Poly students and alumni who have already benefited from these connections.
I would tell a student who's hesitant to reach out on Cal Poly Career Connections to just take that step, go for it. The alumni that are on that website are there because they want to help. They were once students themselves, so they can empathize with us and also offer us very valuable advice.
So if you're an alumni, think back to what you wish you would have known when you graduated, how much that would have changed your life, and sign up to help Mustangs like you.
Students can access Career Connections through the Cal Poly portal. Alumni can sign up at careerconnections.calpoly.edu. Cal Poly Career Connections. Connect, network, engage.
Well, hopefully this gets folks a little excited after this call to maybe encourage, if you're an alumni, maybe you want to join. And the beauty of this also is that alumni can connect with each other. So maybe in 3 to 5 years, someone wants to make a job change or they're moving to a new city. Hey, I got relocated. I'm moving to Seattle. I've never lived out of California. What do I wear in the rain? Right? Connect on Career Connections. So it's a great tool for that commitment Cal Poly has to supporting students through their whole journey in their career, not just while they're at Cal Poly. I'm going to share 2 other resources that we find really helpful and maybe can take some of the pressure off of students who don't want to meet with us in person, their schedule doesn't allow to, or they're more of an independent learner. The first is something called our digital resume and cover letter review process. So on our website, students could submit their cover letter or their resume and get feedback from a staff member within 3 days, tailored to exactly their resume and how to increase its success. This is in addition to those resume clinics I mentioned earlier that we do as workshops. We do resume drop-ins in our identity centers, and students can come to drop in every day on Zoom. And then we have 2 incredible resources. This is a screenshot of a Instagram post that we did a few weeks ago. One is Going Global. Going Global is a way for international students to get support finding jobs within the United States. And for students, who are wanting to get jobs internationally. So they have over 400 cities around the world where it talks about what would it look like to create a resume for that city in that country. Did you know some places they want your photo? You need to share your marital status. In the United States, we have laws that would say that would be illegal. But in other countries, without that, you're not going to be considered a qualified applicant because you have an incomplete resume. So this is a great resource. It also has guides for living in different countries in terms of what to expect for budgeting, what to expect for the culture, and that can help students once they decide to accept a job and they want to move abroad. The next one, big interview. So we've got a resource for networking. We've got resources for resume and cover letter. What do you do once you get the interview? That can be really intimidating and is often done on Zoom. So Big Interview is an online tool where students can practice. They get given different interview questions. They get recorded and they can watch their recording to see, wow, I took 4 minutes to answer that question. They can also bring their recording to a career counselor appointment and talk through it. They can work with the career counselor to say, I feel like this question isn't as good as I want it to be. And the career counselor can watch with them that recording so that they're, instead of practicing with the career counselor, which they're allowed to do, they're learning, applying, and adjusting. Both Glowing Global, Big Interview, and the Digital Resume Cover Letter Review are all within Mustang Jobs. Mustang Jobs can be found in Students Portal, just like their email, and it's all free. So all of these resources are free to students and are available to them through Mustang Jobs. Okay, we're going to switch gears out of career education to say, how do we get employers here? What are we guaranteeing for students to help them get that job? I've talked about Mustang Jobs. It's where they get scheduling for counseling appointments, where they see their workshops, where they get those resources I just shared. It's also where they see jobs posted. Employers come to Mustang Jobs and they specifically post because they want to hire Cal Poly students. So it's not like Indeed where you're going to see tens of thousands of jobs. This is an employer who's coming onto our platform and they know they want to hire Cal Poly students. We also have informational sessions. So employers will come. We have about 15 to 30 every quarter where employers come and they say, do you want to work for Texas Instruments? We're going to have an informational session on Tuesday at 5 p.m. in the Career Services building, and there'll be a representative there to talk about that company. It's a great time for students to bring their resume and to begin to build that network. Then there's on-campus interviews. Yes, most first-round interviews happen on Zoom, but we do have recruiters come. They come to our building. Kanani and Stanley have seen them here, and they host interviews. Students sign up online. After they applied to a job, they get invited to sign up and they come and do an interview. Then we have our career fairs. I'll be talking more about how many we offer and when they are. And we have a career partners program. So companies become partners with us, and part of what they get is they get on-campus interview, first access. They can get first access to informational sessions, and it's a great way for companies to get increased engagement with our students. And last but not least, you might be thinking, okay, we have all these counselors, you're doing all these great events, but how do you know what do we need in the industry? We have, similar to the Parent Advisory Council, we have a Career Services Advisory Council with over 25 members on it from different careers, some of whom are alumni, some of whom are actually current Cal Poly parents, but they all work in different industries, and we meet with them twice a year, and they're telling us what they're seeing as the employers, what the trends are, what we should be thinking about. And so that's kind of like our employer accountability space, in addition to that national organization, NACE, that I talked about, where they are sharing research and trends from employers. So career fairs. Every quarter we have a two-day large career fair. Here's a picture from our fall career fair. We average about 100 employers to 150 employers each day. This happens in our main gym. Next week is the career fair. So if you have a student, send them to the career fair. We encourage students in their first year to come check it out. We have our freshman focus team there. They'll walk them around and answer any questions. Come to the career fair before you're looking for the job to get comfortable being in that type of environment. In addition to these large career fairs, we have some specific career fairs. We have one specifically for architecture, that's next week. We have an agriculture specific career fair, a teaching specific career fair, computing and analytics, and then a graphic communication. All of this information is in Mustang Jobs. Every student gets an email about the upcoming career fairs, and then for those specific career fairs, they get invited. We offer preparing for the career fair workshops for all of our career fairs to also increase the anxiety. We know that picture can be overwhelming. And so we have students practice their elevator pitch, get their resume ready, and talk through how do you look online to know what employers are there so you can know who you're looking for. So hopefully you've gotten to see a large thing of what are we doing to support students? How are we engaging with employers? So you might be wondering, what happens when students graduate? We have something called GSR, our graduate status report, where we survey students within the 9 months after they graduate to say, where are you working? How is it going? What are you making? This is a screenshot from our 2022-2023 graduates. So because it takes about a year to collect that data, this is our most current information. And you can see 89% are positively engaged in the workplace. What does that break down to? 76% are working full-time, 2% are working part-time, 10% are attending grad school, less than 1% are volunteering or in the military, 10% are still seeking employment, 1% are still seeking education, and then 1% of others. We break this down by college. And when you break it down by college, you can see the top employers for that college. So we will use this as a resource for students who say, I don't know where to start. I don't know what type of jobs there are. They can come look at the graduate status report to understand where they might look for internships, or more importantly, in our freshman focus team meetings, what type of job would you like? You like research? Let's go look at what companies and what a research job looks like. You want to be more in an educational setting, but you don't want to be a teacher? Let's look at training and development roles with HR. So we use the graduate status report as a way to help students think about their future careers. Again, this is all located on our website. You can look at graduate status reports back 15 years and break it down by college and by major. Last but not least, our commitment to diversity and inclusion is really important. We know that there can be a lot of anxiety for our students based off of different lived experiences and identities in the job search process. And so we have committed ourselves to think about everything I just showed you. Those are great resources for all students. When we bring it to a more individual level, our first generation students might need some additional support in addition to what's been provided there. Our queer students might have more questions about what does it look like when I'm filling out an application? Do I want to share my pronouns? How do I not have my dead name utilized and instead my chosen name? If you don't know what all those words means, let's just say that it's a way to really humanize the student and how they want to show up instead of having someone make assumptions about them. So we've committed to create additional resources, events, and partnerships to help provide that support for students. What does that look like? Oh, wow, my slide. We have a diversity and inclusion committee that helps plan things like our diversity mixer, and we have our diversity liaison teams. So we liaison with all of the identity centers on this campus. We host resume review drop-ins in those centers. We know that can be a more accessible space for students and a place that they might feel more comfortable, less intimidating than coming to a one-on-one environment. And then we also curate resources on our website, different links to different guides. And then the final thing is we host various events. So in spring quarter, we hosted an event about undocumented students and how they can generate income after graduation and the job search. Tonight, we're hosting a virtual webinar for international students and how they might navigate the career fair and what type of questions they might want to ask or things to consider with their visa status as they're going to the career fair. And then we have a team working with our Pride Center to really think about how to job search given different state laws and how you might want to think about where you're job searching or what you're asking in the interview process. Our team is committed to ongoing professional development. And in the fall, we have our student and employer networking event. So during the fall career fair, on the first evening, we have employers come together in an informal space with snacks and drinks, and they connect non-alcoholic drinks. Let me clarify that. They connect with students around students from our different diversity centers, and it's open to all students to have a more informal space than that big career fair, talking less about, hey, my company is hiring, and more about what does it look like to be in the workforce? What has your journey been? We find that almost half the folks who come to that are also Cal Poly alumni, so it ties in well with those same benefits that we've seen with Career Connections. And then most importantly is we don't just think about this diversity, equity, inclusion in these specific things highlighted above. We also bring up some of these examples into all of the workshops so that we're normalizing to students that they should be feeling like they can see and be seen in their career journey as who they are. Last but not least, we have a professional clothing closet on campus in our building. This is a space where students can come and get an outfit for their interviews or for the career fair. It's a great opportunity also for donations. So a shameless plug, if you're ever in town, even if you're driving in town and you have clothes that you're like, I don't wear this anymore, this doesn't fit me, and you feel like it would be something you would see someone wearing to an interview, you can always donate it to our office, and then students can come and pick it up. We know that professional clothing can be expensive and that not every student has a car, and the few stores that sell more professional clothing are on the other side of town. So, big deep breath. That's a high level of what we do. How can you all support your students' career journey? I have 3 things. One, we'll start from the bottom. We talked about donating to our professional clothing closet. 2, you can recruit here. Mustang Jobs, it's free to post. You can also attend our career fair. And then 3, if you're an alumni, we would love for you to join Career Connections. Beyond that, the more you can share about what you learned here with your students, encourage them to follow our social media at Cal Poly Career Services. We would be more than happy to get them connected. We're also on LinkedIn. That's where we share a lot of our upcoming events. And then you're always welcome to reach out to me. My email is there, and Stanley will be sharing it in the chat. So that was a lot of me talking. More important is how I can answer your all's questions. And as I'm going, if the question relates to something on our website, I'm also happy to pull it up so that you all can see it.
Awesome, Heather. Great. Thanks so much. So much good information there. We had a few questions come in. I'm going to look here. Looks like I'm going to combine these two because it's kind of the same question here. So excuse my fumbling around. Knowing my son the way I do, I don't think he has the capacity to think about his career during his first year. If you had to pick just a few things that he should be doing with career services in his first year, what would you suggest?
Great question. And we recognize that capacity is real. If I were to suggest 2 things, and I asked our freshman focus team this, I said, okay, one is getting them to start working on some type of resume. That can be a really intimidating process. And what we see is sometimes an opportunity opens up in your sophomore year. A faculty that you really like might have a research opportunity. Someone comes and is like, hey, I have an internship next summer. And then students are scrambling overnight to try to make a resume. It's better to have one on hand. And we offer all of our services in the summer. I should have said that too. So even if you wait until this summer, and if your student is home after their first year, like, encourage them to build their resume and then meet with their career counselor so that they have a template. So they're not, it's always hard when it's like, I have 10 hours to get this in because I just learned about it, having that resume in their back pocket. So that would be my first thing. And my second thing is starting them to think about networking, whether that, and that could look like, I'll give you 3 options. That Career Connections, just having them make a profile so that when they have questions, what would this look like? What could this look like? Why don't you try to find someone on Career Connections who does that? Why don't you try to find someone so that you're teaching them to go find people in the industry, unless you're in that industry, right? Like if you happen to work in that industry, you know that, but getting them to build that network. A second way they can build networking is having them just walk around the career fair. Even if they're not in a suit, they can just come by and just walk around. Whatever it is to get them having opportunity to think about networking and thinking about building those connections. And then the third one is more for summer because I recognize then they might be home, they might have more capacity. If they have any curiosity, hey, and you know someone, why don't you go talk to them? Why don't you talk to that person? Oh, my friend, or oh, my aunt or uncle, right? That's kind of the opposite of the career connections. But if you're like, I don't know anyone in that, then you send them to career connections. Beyond that, what I would also like to add to this question, Kanani, thinking about capacity, the word internship, students are like, I need an internship. Really, any job could be called an internship, and any internship could be called a job. So helping students realize, like, if they are working or volunteering, that is great on their resume. Very few companies are going to say, is that a formal internship? Are you sure it wasn't just a summer job? And so I think helping students, sometimes the career anxiety comes from a culture of like, well, I don't have an internship. Babysitting, taking care of your siblings, those are a lot of skills that you need on your resume. Working in a restaurant, those are great skills. And sometimes you might do that in a more technical space, but I think just helping normalize that internship is a buzzword. Most employers just want you to have relevant experience, and that can be gained through a variety of ways.
Great insight there. I also wanted to add too, since we do work in the same building, is
Yes.
there are so many sessions happening and informational sessions, and some of them are low stakes, right? It might be you're having lunch, having that pizza, and listening to a presentation. And so I think if like the capacity is strained, which many of our first years, right, they're getting used to the college experience. But I think stopping in, having some lunch, and listening to someone, we have great career counselors down there. And I think it's kind of low stakes, right? It's a way to just drop in.
Totally. I love that. And yes, and that's like the LinkedIn for beginners, like any of our workshops, like they, you can just sit and listen. There's not like a forced thing. And we do try to, if it falls over lunch or dinner, we have food. And so we always like to say everyone needs to eat. So why don't eat and listen to something? And we do fun things too. Like last year we did therapy dogs. We do crafting through career anxiety. We do cupcakes with your FFT counselor in the UU Plaza. And so, there's things that you'll see if you follow our Instagram that are even lower stakes than 50 minutes. It's like just stop by, get a snack, pet a dog. And then someone will be like there to remind you that career is something that maybe is in the back of your head. So thanks for that reminder, Kanani.
Yeah, all great points. And the amount of events that you have for students and informational sessions, I want to say that career services is a large department. Like Cal Poly understands how important this is for our students and is vital to their academic success even. So I just wanted to point that out, that it is a large team that works really hard on this programming for students. Okay, I'll get more into these questions here. Let's see. How can I balance how can my student balance their job search with their academic work? I think you got into that a little bit already. You want to talk more about that?
Yeah, I think that can be really stressful for students. And number one of my favorite words is to normalize, right? Normalize the imposter syndrome if they're like, I've never done this. Normalize that not everyone has their job right when they graduate because different folks hire in different timelines. Normalize that, yeah, right? Like, of course it feels overwhelming. You've gotten really good at being a student and now you're trying to job search. Like, how would we not? And I share that maybe that feels basic, but I think a lot of students feel like they have to do it all. The next thing is we think about this when students are graduating, is that job searching is not like getting an A on a paper, right? It's not going to feel the same way because you're not in control in the same way you can just keep editing a paper. You apply to a job and then it's out of your hands. And so helping students realize that that doesn't mean that they're not job searching. It means that it's out of their hands if they get an interview or not. And then I like to encourage students to set a reasonable goal. 1 job a week. Or I tell them to treat it like they do studying for a class, right? Okay, you just chunk out time and then try not to think about it. Try. We can't turn our brains off, but like maybe Thursday afternoons are your job search time. And then if you get in see a job that comes in before then, just put it in a file and then revisit it on Thursdays. Because I think what I see burn students out is they're just constantly trying to be thinking about job searching. And it's like you're not constantly thinking about every class you're in. You kind of learn as a student, okay, I'm working on my biology homework, and now I'm working on my comms homework, and now I'm working on my business homework. So I encourage them to use that same framework and just allot some time to do the job search to help avoid that exhaustion of trying to fit it in all the time.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I was also just thinking about while you were talking is that sometimes we hear from students, like we have student assistants that are seniors, right? And maybe they don't have it all figured out yet. They don't know exactly what they're doing. And so the thing that they say to me is that everyone else
Yes, I love
has
that
it.
statement.
They're all set. Their life is perfect. Everything's going well. And I just want to let them know that other people are going through the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So I think
And
that's
I
important.
think, oh, sorry, Kanani. Going back to what you shared, events are a great place to go because I think it normalizes that job anxiety and you begin to be like, oh, that was a good question I hadn't thought about, or I realized like that's a good statement. And so I think helping it not be an isolated experience can help it be less overwhelming. And then we live in a culture with a lot of instant gratification. I think we're seeing more and more students who want the perfect job, and there is some expectation setting of if you have 8 things as a minimum requirement for any job you will apply to, you will have a longer job search. And that is fine, but how do we help you see the relationship between I want this, this, and this? That might be a longer job search. You might not have a job when your friends do, because some of your friends are like, I'll take any job as long as it's in the state of California. Well, that's a very different job search. And so helping a student learn what are their parameters, and then that allows you as a parent to help be like, well, that might take a little longer. And are you okay with that? And if you're okay with that, to your point, Kanani, then we're not saying everyone else has it because everyone else might have a different priority. And changing jobs within the first 5 years is normal. That didn't used to be normal 30 years ago, but it's almost expected at this point. Recruiters know that. And so if they don't have every box checked, but they feel like it would be a cool job for a few years, then just apply to it, take it. I think it's that framework can help with it's not the next 20 years of your life. And yeah.
Yeah, great. Well, that is all the questions that we have today. So I just want to really thank Heather so much for sharing your insights and the incredible work you do with Career Services. We get to see it firsthand. And it's clear that the program plays a vital role in supporting our student success here at Cal Poly. As we wrap up, I just want to remind everyone that the resources and guidance offered by Career Services are designed to help students thrive both academically and personally. If you have any further questions or need more information, you can contact the Career Services team and Heather directly. Stanley's going to put that in the chat for you. So thank you all for joining us today. And a special thanks again to Heather for your time and expertise. And also thank you, Marta and the Parent Advisory Council for sponsoring the Lunch and Learn series for our Mustang parents and supporters. Take care all.